Well, hi there, and welcome to Home Wizards, where we love to help improve your home and improve your life. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing great, thank you. I am out here in beautiful Telluride, Colorado.
Oh, tough work. Well, as you're looking around in Colorado, like we are here in Southern California, are you seeing a lot of beautiful plants?
I'm seeing a lot of pine trees and Doug firs and such, and that's about it.
Well, I was at the hardware store just earlier this week, and I saw out in front just tons of plants, tons of bare root roses and all these bags of fertilizer and soil. And it was almost like they were coming and saying, come by me, and I thought...
Hey, Cindy, they actually were, they were saying that.
They were talking to me because, we now know that fairies come to our gardens.
Oh, please, stop it with
they do. Hey, if you missed it, you can check it out. Go to... yourhomewizards.com. The interview is up there. It was a fun segment. But anyway, I feel like these plants do have, a spirit about them, and they're calling to us. But when do you go to the nursery, or when do you go to the big box store in terms of buying for your garden? I thought we'd talk about that. Where's the best deal? And when do you decide, I'm just going to fork out more cash because I'm going to get better service?
I think that's a really good topic, and I'll tell you why. Can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
So I went a couple of weeks ago with Willow and Dusty, my two little ones, to a big box store to buy a bunch of plants because they wanted to get involved in making a nice little arrangement for our front yard. And I thought that the big box store would be the best place to go in terms of price, and then selection. Obviously, I thought maybe not so much, just because generally it seems like the smaller nurseries have better choices, right? Mm-hmm. By the end of the experience, I got out of there, and they kept grabbing stuff, putting it on the cart, and by the end of the whole thing, I think I was in $150, and it didn't really even seem like I had that much. So I'd also like to have you fill us in a little bit on price point. What do you think the best things to buy?
Well, all right. So before you even, there's so many things to think about before you even go to the nursery or the big box store, because it is like a candy store, and they know it. I mean, but it's no coincidence. There is huge profit in plants. And I think that I have right across my chest the word sucker whenever time I go to either, and I think it flashes a neon light. Sucker, because I love,
It says genius and expert. That's
sure. No, I think that it says, plant nurturer, lover of. And then I think that the plants are saying, yeah, get her. She's the one. She'll fork over. Come on, she'll take us home. But, big box, we're not going to slam either, because neither is perfect, right? The big box retailers, there is a value to getting plants there on certain occasions, and there's a value to getting plants at the mom and pop independent nurseries, which are pricier. Both have value. But before you even go either place, it's so important to first have a shopping list of some kind and know what you intend to do, because, when you go to the hardware store just planning to do your DIY project, you wanted to get, maybe some batteries, or some tool, and the plants are crying out to you. So now you end up buying plants, and they may not have been the right purchase at that moment.
That's interesting, because initially my trip there was to get maybe one plant and a package of seeds. And all of a sudden, you do. Yeah. You're right. You see all the color, and they have perfectly grown things that just look like an army of beauty that could enhance your home and life.
Yeah, and so there's a huge profit in the world of plants. And hey, you know what? We want to support our local growers. It's all good. We get it. But before you even do some shopping today, or throughout the week, it's always important to first kind of take a look at whether you have just a balcony and a container plants, or you want to finally get some greenery inside your house or in your yard, to kind of assess what you want to do. And then, okay, you can make some spontaneous, impulsive purchases, but otherwise, just going to these places, planning to buy lumber, and now all of a sudden you're buying a couple of flats of, pansies and daisies, and they may not even have a place in your yard. They may not even be the right sunlight, right? So
yeah, and you know what suckered me in, too? It was the pottery, because it's so pretty the way they display it.
Yeah.
There's such great glosses out there now that I think I ended up buying 3 or 4 different pots, and that I think that put me over the $100 mark.
Well, and it's kind of like buying anything. You see that great pair of jeans, you see that great leather jacket, or that, pair of shoes, and then, or you even just see the picture of the celebrity wearing those, and then you think, if I buy it, I'll look like them. And it's the same thing like buying plants. If I buy these plants, my garden will look like this,
Right.
And so, anyway, I think that first let's talk about, after you have your list, knowing that, it's important to have certain kind of plants. And we just mentioned, too, that Sunset, if you go to sunset.com, they have now an app and, of course, their new garden book that mentions all, shows photographs of all the plants and flowers and shrubs and trees you can imagine. And then it lists what zone or what kind of sunlight or what kind of temperature, we should say, what's the coldest temperature it will handle. And that's the important thing to remember, too, because it's not just the sunlight, but how cold does it get at night where you live. And then based on that, along with water and TLC, that is the determination of the plants that you get. So after you figured all that, you have your app and you have your list. Okay, let's say you've decided to go to the big box store, right? And just like you, Eric, you're seeing all these plants. They're everywhere. Well, fine. You know that you're going to probably get cheaper, less expensive plants. That's probably a given. And yes, now the good news is that just about everybody, they have a deal, a warranty where if you buy a plant and it dies, you can take it back and they'll give you a new one. But who's going to do that? Have you ever done that?
I have not. Well, actually, I take that back. Occasionally, when I do construction jobs and landscaping is involved, and there were too many purchased, then I'll return some of them.
Okay, all right. So if you're buying in bulk,
I haven't ripped the daisy back out and thrown it in a pot.
Yeah, and my husband has done that. He's taken them back, and it's a good idea, especially if you've spent a lot of money. But it's all about what the plant looks like, too, and the kind of plant. So, yes, you were right, Eric, that when you go to the big box stores, they are going to probably be better for bulk, like a bunch of citrus trees, or maybe a bunch of roses, or a bunch of almost kind of generic types of plants. And yes, the big box stores will also have some specialty vines occasionally. But the thing is, sometimes the big box stores may not have the right type of specialty plant that's going to work in your garden. And they probably don't have someone who's going to be there to answer your questions. And so the money you think you're saving at the big box store may actually be money that you're wasting because you didn't get the right one, or you know what I mean? You didn't get a wise choice.
Right.
And so
there's very, very, very seldom have I experienced geniuses with a vast array of knowledge at the big box stores. There are a few exceptions, however.
There could be.
There's a great big box store in Northridge where I live, and there's a guy in the plant department there that's fantastic.
See, especially if they've been there for a long time, it's almost like the hardware stores. They become your friend, and you learn a lot, with them and from them. But when we come back, I'm going to give you some more advice on what to look for physically, not only at the big box stores, but at the mom and pop nurseries, because there's some things to watch for there too, in terms of how the roots should look, and how the leaves should look, the foliage, the twigs. And then what about that soil in your yard? That's all coming up next. Home Wizards, Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole. The fun continues as we love to help improve your home and improve your life here on KFWB News Talk 980.
She likes the boys in the band. I'm a fool to do your dirty work. Oh, yeah. I don't want to do your dirty work.
I don't know. I think Eric will do the dirty work for us, right, Eric Stromer?
Wait,
you wouldn't.
Are you implying that I'm going to actually get dirty while I
garden? It's fun to get a little dirt in your nails, don't you think?
Yes, it is. I actually love doing it.
It is. It's a good feeling. Home Wizards here. Eric Stromer, my buddy and co-host Cindy Dole, and we love to help improve your home and improve your life. We thought we'd talk about getting your hands a little dirty, because why not? It's almost springtime. It's feeling like spring, and when you go out to the stores throughout the weekend, throughout the week, you're just kind of drawn in. You're sucked in by these displays of beautiful flowers and shrubs and trees. And so we thought we'd talk about what to think about before you buy them. And then, of course, the dirt that you need to make sure that they thrive. Because really...
Hey, can I bring up a stupid thing?
What?
Well, I mean, for dads like me out there, who maybe don't spend a whole lot of time in the garden world and understand conceptually what the deal is, There are these two kinds of flowers and plants, annuals and perennials. And I know that for the longest time before I really knew how to do that, I had no idea what the difference was. I thought you buy them, they keep growing forever and ever. And this is for all those folks out there who just don't understand this like I was, years ago. And so just tell the folks, will you, about conceptually how you build from, the perennials and annuals and why you're buying one versus the other.
Well, when you sure, well, you have annuals and you have perennials, and you want to make sure, first of all, when you're going to the big box store, that's where you're going to get the great deals in the mass quantities, right? And so that's where you're going to want to get the annuals. That's where you're going to get the herbs and the house plants and the shrubs in bulk, and maybe even some of the cactus. Although my favorite place for cacti and succulents is the California Cactus Center. I mean, that is a place. Talk about a mom and pop. It's all these sisters, 5 or so sisters whose family business has been thriving forever, and you go there and you just can't wait to buy more succulents. But the difference between annuals and perennials, the perennials, I would vote for going to the mom and pop nursery for those. Again, they're more specialty plants, and I think that plants are going to frequently suffer from neglect at the big box stores, and you just have to really be careful when you're looking at the plants that they are looking healthy. So first you want to make sure that the plant, that it's not stressed out, and they can be stressed at a family, mom and pop nursery too, right? But make sure that the plant's foliage isn't yellowing. That's a sign of too little water or too little nutrition or other problems. And if you're buying a tree, check the trunk. It should be straight with a slight flare at the base. And if you don't see that flare, the tree is probably planted too deeply, and then that means that the branches, it could be suffocating, right? The branches should be widely and evenly spaced and not exclusively at the top of the trunk. You want to check the buds on the foliage. And then all the plants in the trees and shrubs should be clearly labeled, the flower color, the bloom size, the mature height. And then that's where, if you have an app on your mobile device, that's going to kind of help make you smarter. Or if you don't go there, you can, of course, do a little research online before you go shopping at the nursery or the big box store, And then a really important thing, no matter whether you get annuals or perennials or whatever it is, you want to look at the actual roots. And if it's root bound, when you see them in those little black plastic containers,
Right.
You can kind of push it aside and look at the roots. And if right now, if it looks like the roots are just trying to bust out of the pot itself, it's probably root bound, and that means that the roots have been almost, again, trying to suffocate itself. It's circling and circling and circling, and it's suffering now. It's just choking. It's saying, "Please buy me, Eric, and give me some soil."
No, what's happened? It's gotten too fat for its own pants.
Well, there you go. It thought it could wear those leather pants, and now
That's right.
and the skinny jeans, and then it looked in the mirror and it's, you know what? I'm not fitting. It's not looking so good. I'm not fat. I'm just big boned.
You know what? I'm gonna, after I've gained a few pounds from now on, I'm gonna say I'm root bound.
You're root bound. See,
yeah,
that's what it is. You're well fed. You want to also check for insects. Speaking of fed, if you're going to the big box store or the mom or the family, private nursery, right? And there's so many of good ones for both. But check for the insects, not only on the top of the leaves, but underneath. They like to hide out in there. And if there's some insects there, that's not a good sign, because you want to make sure that these guys are not already munching and crunching on your investment before you've even gotten a chance to fail yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to have the best opportunity for success. So that's an important thing to think about. And, I was going online looking and researching what the buzz is. There's a lot of marketing advice that goes on between big box stores and nurseries, saying, everybody, hey guys, here's how we can make more profit off our plants. So they all are figuring a way to make money off of us. And so you just have to figure out, okay, I know that these are the trees, these are the shrubs, these are the flowers that I want. I know that I want to make sure that it looks healthy, looking at the roots, looking at the leaves, checking out for insects and so forth. And then also knowing that if you're looking for a specialty, beautiful plant, and then beyond that, if you want to have a lot of great customer service, you're probably going to want to go to the private nursery. And if you want to have just buy in bulk, with the exception of maybe that big box store where they've got a veteran guy that you've known for years, then you're going to get better value out of your experience. Next to that, you might want to buy some of the more common plants at the big box store, and then the specialty plants at the private nursery. That's what I think.
Yeah, and it feels very similar to me in terms of either like specialty grocery stores, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You go
Yes.
to a high-end market, and you're going to find unusual things that are going to cost more, but they're going to be things you can't get at other places, versus just going to the straight supermarket. So it does really feel like that, and you're paying for service and variety, I guess, is what you're doing, aren't you?
Yeah, you really are, and loyalty, and I love having that relationship, no matter what category it is in the home, whether it's that hardware store that you love to go to, that certain plumbing fixture guy that you like to talk to, and also the nursery person, and it's great to have that experience because it enhances your shopping, right? Because now it's not just a chore, it's relationships.
Yeah, and by the way, those are our hardware heroes.
They
are
our
champions. We're going to feature a bunch of these guys and girls as we go through time on yourhomewizards.com, talking about specific regions where we have found amazingly gifted people that talk about what you want to buy with passion and enthusiasm that you don't find other places. So we'll get into that.
And a lot of times those are the guys and gals who can also be great resources if you need to hire some help. They can be the ones who know who's good in your local community.
There's no question. Yeah.
Well, about soil, because we were talking about getting our hands dirty after we bought the plants. Because when you're buying plants, you're probably going to be lured in to buy bags of soil. A lot of times we'll say, hey, can we top you off with a bag of soil? And, you go, well, wait, I think I have some dirt at home. Do I need dirt? Well, here's the thing. First of all, dirt really is the soul, or soil, I should say, is the soul of your garden. So if you think about it that way, who doesn't need a soul, right? You really need to have good soil because otherwise it's not going to thrive. And there are ways that you can get your soil tested. And if you go to a number of websites, and you can Google this, throughout California there are services that will make a soil test or an analysis available to you. And sometimes you can even go to the mom and pop nurseries, and they will also, take a little baggie of your soil. But if you maybe go to the UC Cooperative Extension website in Los Angeles, they have Master Gardener helplines that can guide you to some of the services throughout California that can help you test your soil. But it's really important to have great soil.
You know what's great about it? It takes the guesswork out of that whole process, because I know I have very loamy soil, I guess, and it has to be amended. And, like, for example, the areas that I'll grow the tomatoes, I always want to rotate those crops out, but you can dig that bed out and amend it with brand new soil, which I think is a great thing to do, to your point, obviously, because the plants aren't going to thrive. The nutrients have been drained from the prior crop, essentially.
And you can also, there's things that you can do in an organic way in terms of throwing peels and greens into a pile in your lawn that'll help with the soil and the nutrients, and just as long as animals aren't coming over and munching, but it'll help.
Unfortunately, I have hazel, so it just turns into a garbage dump.
Anyway, so soil is very, very important. In fact, soil is so critical for edibles. I mean, even if you have great watering techniques and you have all the sun in the world, if it doesn't have great soil, you're not going to get great tomatoes. I hear a voice singing there in the background. That wouldn't happen to be Eric Stromer, would it? Yeah, it is.
Yes, he is. He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's our Fix-It guy here at Home Wizards, and we're going to talk more coming up next about some solutions for that small space you're in, an apartment, in a condo, how to make it feel larger. Just like that rearview mirror, things are larger than they appear, or are they smaller? Home Wizards, Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole. The fun continues after this.
Tools and two strong hands. Well, if it's stuck, I can twist it. If it's heavy, I can lift it. I'm your Mr. Fix-It Man.